How are we doing, folks? Let me get these comments up. Hope we're all keeping well. So I managed to cock the beginning up right again. Always the flaming same. Oh, my goodness me. Right. Let me know. I always say this before I start, but just let me know that everybody can actually hear me for a kickoff and see me. No worries, Shandy. Thanks for popping in and popping out. Just let me know, folks, that everything's okay. You can hear me and all that kind of stuff, please. Loud and clear, fan bloody tastic. Right. Let's kick off by saying a massive hello. Huge thanks for everybody for coming along. 28 people in the chat already. I am loving that. I hope you all enjoyed. Those of you that have actually come over from Justin's podcast to watch this one, thanks very much indeed. I really hope you enjoyed that one. Justin's a fantastic bloke, and I really would like to investigate with him one day in the future. In fact, to be honest, having Justin to investigate and Kev, who I'm going to have on tonight, together in the same room, my goodness me, what would that be like? There'd be that much debunking going on and never get anything else done. I've got Kev in the green room there, and I'm gonna nick one of John Smith's thing there. He's preparing himself. He's putting his blusher on, putting his lippy on, and he's all set to go. So, what I'm going to say first, let's do a bit of a roll call first for all those that have actually rocked up here. So I'll just do a quick roll call. So hello to the Mad Wecker. Thanks very much for coming. Jason Voorhees, my good mate Steve, who I just spent the weekend with in a fantastic place. We had a great weekend, and I shall talk about that as well probably tonight. The Free Spirit Researchers, thanks for popping in. The Sober Carper, great name, absolutely love it. I know I don't do these live streams very often, but the Sober Carper always pops in as well. JD Julia, thanks for popping in. Where else? We had Shandy Warhol, she's bobbing in and bobbing back out again, so that's all good. Nice to see you, Shandy. Jan W, thanks for popping in. Dr. Deb as well. Anna Kennett, nice to see you. Thanks for letting me know that I am loud and clear. Steve Harlett. Who else is in here? Laurie's Chocks. Great name. Call of the Dark. I like that one. I can put an emphasis on the voice for that one. Where are we at? Ruby Moon. Thanks very much for popping in, Ruby. Where me Auntie Teresa Bonner, me Auntie Teresa is here. Everybody in the chat, give me Auntie a good hello. The Right Honourable Lorian Jones from Alehouse Haunt is also in. Good to see you, love. I saw Lorian at the weekend as well with Kev. Brilliant to see her again. Adrian from Real Evidence. Wonderful to see him here as well. Great bloke. Hopefully I'll meet him again one day. Hopefully I'll meet him for the first time one day. Roddy Joe. Now, Joe has been a follower of mine since right at the beginning. All over there. I think she's in Kentucky in the States. You might correct me on that, Joe. Janet, nice to see you. Who else have got? Eric Stover, nice to see you. Erica, sorry. Erica, I nearly said sir there. I do apologise, Erica. And I think that's it so far. Anybody else that comes in, obviously give them a nice warm welcome. Right, so let's get on with this because time is a wasting. I'm not any time constraints per se, but I would actually like to actually get to sleep tonight at some point, and I could probably talk to this bloke all bloody night. So the title of the thumbnail, Amy and Ryan's Weird Adventures. Thank you very much indeed. Please chuck a like and go and see Amy and Ryan because they are fantastic. I've met them in real life as well. I know I'm getting detracted from the by the chat, but Betters213, thanks very much for popping in. Reach Beyond Paranormal. Nice to see you, mate. I tell you what, I'm just going to say this. Reach Beyond Paranormal is just starting out, and it'd be good if you could actually give him some love. He reminds me of me when I first started, to be honest. Very straight down the line, calls it like it is. He does his videos quite similar to how I used to do them like years ago as well. So it's I do watch him every now and again, so it's always good to see him and see him progress. Days of Horror, nice to see you as well. Kay Evans, nice to see you. Lovely to see you. Some Anna Baptista, nice to see you as well. Right, let me get on with this. Fantastic. How many people? 46 people in the chat. Jeez Louise. Right, the thumbnail. I have found myself, especially towards the back end of last year, really questioning after the 3 years or so that I've been doing this. Granted, not a great deal of time. Some might say, Mark, you're being a bit impatient, and I probably am. But I have not seen anything since I started doing this. And I just wonder why. Well, I think I probably know the reasons why, to be fair. Because obviously when I started doing this, I believed that I would see things within the first few weeks. That's what I believed, because you're led to believe by the TV narrative, and that is obviously not real. You watch lots of people on YouTube as well. I'm not going to get into that one because there's a lot of people that are for entertainment purposes only, and they do some cracking stuff. They really do. But again, the entertainment folks are not real as well. Anything that's basically on the TV, apart from Danny Robbins, because we all love Danny Robbins, isn't actually real. Or not that I've watched anyway. So I apologise to anybody that's been on TV and they are real. So I have really struggled with my, I don't know, wanting to do this paranormal stuff anymore. Basically because I'm obviously not getting anything. Maybe I should just accept that and get on with it and just carry on with what I'm actually meant to be doing, which is trying to search for answers. So what I've got Kev here. And Kev has been in the paranormal world for a lot of years. About 15 years, Kev? Yep, about 15 years. Now, I'm going to get him on in a bit, and he's going to hopefully try and explain to me my question, which is, do ghosts even exist? And that's a question I've been struggling with for at least, well, probably about a year, to be fair, but even more so over the past, maybe 3-4 months. I got to maybe Christmas time after I put out the Hinchinbrook house video, and I really did find myself wondering if there's any point in continuing. One, I was just getting a bit fed up with things. I just wanted a break from it all. I've had my break now, and I'm still wondering whether I should whether I should continue. To be fair, I will. Don't get me wrong, but it's just one of those things where you just find yourself questioning, what is the point in doing this? Because and I don't believe for a minute there's one of those things in the paranormal world that if you're having cameras, because obviously I make videos and obviously I have cameras going all the time, cameras will scare off ghosts. They don't come out if ghosts are there, and I kind of don't believe that. Well, I kind of do and I don't. Having known the and there's a lot of controversy over this, but having known the 30 East Drive phenomena and what goes on there, I can well believe that that cameras probably hinder you capturing any evidence. But I don't believe that's the thing. I don't believe that's the case for every single and the vast majority of hauntings, because that would make me if that was the case, then you would say that every spirit or every ghost that's ever real is very intelligent and they can see exactly what you're doing. So that's where I am with it at the moment. Anyway, without further ado, let's get Kevin and let's carry on. Right, hang on, Kev. Let me just unmute you. How do I go about doing that? I'm pressing you on. Can you unmute yourself? Hang on, folks. Hang on. For some reason, I can't get you unmuted. How's that?
How about now?
Oh.
There we go.
Sorry about that, mate.
That's all right.
Gremlins in the works yet again. Look, he's got pen and paper ready already. I love that.
Always, just in case.
So, can everybody hear you, Kev? Okay. If you hear anything going on in the background of my room, it's because there's the cat is on the bed that way, and she's bloody faffing round, being naughty. And she'll get chucked out the window. Eh?
Hear dogs barking.
Yeah, that's the neighbours across the way. Don't even get me started on that one. I'll get myself arrested if that's the case. Yeah. So, what do you reckon, Kev? What do you reckon about my? But I tell you what, let's introduce you first. You tell me a bit about You tell the guys a bit about yourself. How's about
that? Yeah. So I'm Kev Kerr. I look after my little corner, which is Kev Kerr Paranormal. Like you said, I've been an investigator for 15 years. I've been everything from believer to cynic to skeptic to open-minded. Been to many investigations. Concentrated for many years on residential investigations, looking after individuals, vulnerable individuals who believe they were suffering sort of paranormal occurrences, but going in and obviously trying to discover the truth if it was actually something normal, like is there mental health issues, whether there was any kind of stress related to their situation, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And also dealing with things like methodology, for when we do go into places like Woodchester Mansion or location, and doing it as best we can and kind of gathering data in the best way we can. And then had a bit of a retirement moment. I've just come back recently, so I'm back just over a year, and loving it, doing podcasts again and getting to meet up with people and go to cool locations and meet like yourself, at Hill House, all that kind of thing. So yeah, this is me.
I met Kev at Hill House when we went there went there for 2 nights. When was October, wasn't it? Very early October.
Yeah.
So went there with Lorien Jones from Ale House Horns. I know she's in chat somewhere. I know she is hanging around, lurking in the background like she does. So I met and she brought Justin along. It was great. It was great to meet him. And obviously, then the second night, Steve and Griff from the Ouija Brothers came up, and we had an absolute ball. It was great. It was a fantastic weekend. It really was. So Kevin,
it didn't fuel your fire though, did
it? No. Yeah. Well, the first night was a bit of a write-off, wasn't it? Unfortunately, I think we all had a bit too much to drink. So
it was the bar was calling that night, I think.
The bar was shouting, mate.
Quite literally, yeah.
The bar that just kept on giving. Oh God. So and obviously I just met Kev at the weekend as well again. I just thought I'd let you know. Obviously I've been banging on about where I've been at the weekend, but for those that don't know, I went to the fantastic Gothic mansion in Gloucestershire, which is Woodchester Mansion. Absolutely superb place. It really is. And it's open to the public as well during the day. So if anybody gets to go there, you ever got to get in the Gloucester area or in the Stroud area of Gloucestershire, please just go and check out the Woodchester Mansion. What a place, honestly. It really is. I got goosebumps when I walked straight in there.
It's an amazing place,
Walk
isn't
through
it?
the door, goosebumps, right,
Mhm.
walk straight away. I was like, I'm getting goosebumps now just thinking about it. What a place of atmosphere. So yeah, I made the video there. So I'm going to get on with that this week, and hopefully soon enough. I'm not going to put a timestamp on it because I never do. I always say that I'm going to. I'll be ready in 2 weeks, and I never, and something else crops up, and I never get to finish it off. So it'll be ready when it's ready. But that'll be the next video coming soon, folks, from Woodchester Mansion. What a beautiful place. Yeah. So, and you've actually had a lot of you've had a lot of I wasn't going to say activity when you because you know Woodchester Mansion very well, don't you?
I do, yeah, yeah. It's one, it's just up the road from me. Two, I used to be part of Team Impact, who looked after the place. I think Chris Howley does it now on his own. And basically, that place is it's one of these places. Like I said to you, it's either nothing happens or everything happens. There's
Mm.
nothing in between. There's no small things that happen. Seen stones thrown, full apparitions. Seen a table move there. Um, it's it's one of those amazing places, but taking into account I've probably been there 30, 40 times, and like 4 times we've had stuff happen.
That's
So
actually, I mean, you talk about them ratios. Um, I hate to go back to. I like. Well, no, I don't hate to go back at all. To go back, I've talked to Steve and Griff, the Ouija brothers, many times about what they've found at East Drive, and they
yeah.
must have been to East Drive about 30 or 40 times.
Hmm.
Probably spent I mean, Justin, who is in the chat as well, has probably been a similar kind of similar kind of time scale as well,
Yeah.
30 or 40 times, and they said exactly the same thing. Out of the 30 or 40 times we've actually been there, we've probably caught what you could probably say or even think that would be a paranormal activity,
Hmm.
and
And
that is the ratio.
it's a way to think about it, because like I lived in the previous house I lived in. There was a lot of paranormal activity, and that happened over a long series of years. It sometimes 3, 4 months and nothing happened at all.
Mm.
Suddenly out of nowhere something quite big would happen, and then nothing again. Some weeks you'd have like something happen a couple of times a day for the whole week. And I think when we book these places for one night of the
Yeah,
whole year, it's basically a scratch card. It's, you're going
yeah.
to get the jackpot or you're not. Um, and the majority of the time you're not. You're just going to get there. And I think for you, I think you've just had a really bad luck run where you're on the knots all the time.
Since the
Yeah,
started.
yeah, don't take up gambling. Like, it's
Well,
like
no, I'm terrible at that as well. To be fair, although I did actually get, I had a bit of a flutter on the Grand National there of late, and I got third place. So there we go.
there you go. Got,
At least
got something
at
out of
least
it.
I put an each way bet on.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, but that is it, though, isn't it? I mean,
Mm,
you get obviously these. I mean, obviously people know what I do. I make videos for YouTube. Maybe I shouldn't make videos for YouTube. If I want to do this on a personal basis, I should really be going to these places time after time and time. So, go to Woodchester Mansion 20 times. I might
yeah.
only get one night of those 20 times where you might actually get something that's tangible.
What I would suggest, and it's something I've done a few times. Obviously, in 15 years, there's been a few moments where I've gone, screw this, gonna jack it all in. What am I after? I was always, especially when I was on the residential, because there was never a paranormal explanation.
Hmm.
It was either psychosis, stress, new high syndrome, all these kind of things
Yeah.
all the time. You're never finding a ghost or any kind of evidence of the paranormal.
Yeah.
And then when I was doing a lot of locations, a few times I just thought, do you know what? I'll leave the kit in the car. So I've got absolutely nothing. So no cameras, no bleepies, flashies, nothing like that. No meters, and not even my notepad and pen, which takes a lot. And just go for the personal experience.
Yeah.
Just go for that creep factor. You might be aware that it's the creep factor. You might know that, or be able to debunk what is going on. but be in that moment and
Yeah.
like experience it and kind of get that bit of a buzz back. And I've noticed a few times when I have been ready to give up and I have decided, you know, I don't need my cameras, I don't need anything else. Let's see
Yeah.
what happens. And I think a lot of people also forget. Like I've a couple of times said, right, look at the theory of sort of light being in the way. You know, this idea that we use bleepy flashies, but you know, basically, where light is something that is stopping something from appearing. You say, okay, sounds very unskeptic of me, but if you take away that light, so it go into the dark, brilliant,
Hmm.
and then we turn on an infrared camera, and everyone seems to forget that infrared is light.
Yeah.
So it's like get rid of that as well. Like completely go in either on a spiritual basis or I'm just going to go and see what happens. And you'll be surprised how much taking your camera away disarms you
Yeah.
and can almost put you into that state of hyper arousal.
Yeah.
And you can basically just say, right, um, I'm going to go. Just imagine you're at Woodchester. I'm going to go down the cellar on my own, and I'm going to go and ask. You know, ask out and call out. And it isn't about gaining any evidence. It isn't about capturing anything on camera.
Yeah.
It becomes that personal thing, and then all of a sudden, something will happen. You know, that you might experience and say, "Huh, oh, I wish I had my camera on that."
Yeah.
But it gives you the drive again to go. Okay, there must be a way for me to be able to record this. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
you record it up here, don't you?
yeah,
It's just you haven't got the you then haven't got the. I always because part and parcel of me actually taking my camera is because I want to actually prove to everyone
yeah,
that you know that it's there. But you're right in what you say, and I should probably do that. Just ditch all the gear, take myself there to to anywhere really,
hmm
and then just go and sample it without anything. I mean, obviously Diane's in chat as well, and Gemma as well, who's a great, lovely ladies and that I've met personally as well, and they say the same thing. Um, well, obviously, we're Diane many times, and she says the same thing. You know, she just go there without cameras, just to obviously get that. So yeah, so as you say, so you actually get yourself in the zone, so to speak, and you
hmm
experience it without looking through a viewfinder.
yeah. And it's you'd be surprised at the results. I can never remember the name of the fort somewhere near Kent. We went there in the sort of a bit later days of Team Impact, and it was me, Paul, Leanne, Paul's partner at the time, and I think one of Leanne's friends, and that was it for the entire fort. And they handed us the keys, and we're like, "Off you go, then." It was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, okay." And we tried loads of different things. Nothing sort of happened. Not even any of that weird feeling or anything else. You get that heaviness or nothing at all. So, and we said about the infrared, and we were a bit like, but there's security cameras everywhere, which are blaring infrared everywhere. So there was one area which was the cells that didn't. So me and Paul just went into the cells, and it was the it was the weirdest experience. It was like as my eyes adjusted to the dark, I could see the lines in the brickwork, and then suddenly I could just see a shadow,
yeah,
and it was like, whoa, someone stood there. And the more my eyes kind of adjusted, the more I could see it was there was a person, but the presence of it felt very intimidating.
yeah, yeah,
You know, to the point where I actually ended up saying, right, I'm just going out for a sec. And Paul jumped at the opportunity because he was having a very similar experience, where behind him was something. You know, he could feel very intimidated where he was and everything. So we both got out. We basically told each other to pull our shit together and say, right, come on, you know, we're here for this. Like, you know, we're both skeptical investigators. Let's just go back in and let's see what happens. So I
yeah,
went back in. It was pitch black again, and my eyes began to adjust. And as they began to adjust, this time this shadow wasn't sort of in the corner of the cell. This shadow was about here, and I was leaning because I felt that intimidated by it.
wow,
It took a lot for me to hold my ground and be like, I'm gonna experience this. And you put your hand out, there's absolutely nothing there, but you could see the line of the brickwork, nothing like black,
yeah,
and then the line of the brickwork again. But it was intimidating, and both of us again, we went out there and said, right, enough. We radioed the girls and said, oh, do us a favour. We didn't say what we'd experienced, anything else. We said, two of you go in there, one go in the back cell, one go in the left hand cell. Tell us what you experienced. And funnily enough, they had a very similar experience. but that was, again, no equipment, nothing there to prove it was happened. It was just pure personal experience.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you're missing, is the personal experiences.
Yeah. I also, if I'm being honest, I also think as well, mate, that I mean, obviously, maybe at the time, when I first started doing it, and that just kind of brings me on to what what Ginger Dave has actually said. What a great name, Ginger Dave.
Good old Dave.
What was that light bulb moment when you realised that you wanted to do paranormal hunting? I'll just quickly go over this. I've always been interested in the paranormal stuff ever since I was a kid. Even my brother and my mates on a few of my mates on the estate we grew up on, we actually started our horror club as well. We used to call our horror club, going down the lane at the middle of the night kind of thing and trying to freak each other out. But yeah, I've always been interested in the likes of spooks and ghosts and all that kind of stuff, and just what actually makes them tick, or what makes us tick with them, so to speak. But long and short of it was, to do paranormal hunting, I started watching, and I'll say this again, I actually started watching the Ouija Brothers on YouTube, and that's what, after watching them for like maybe 6 months, I'm thinking, oh, this is something a bit different than what you normally actually get. Obviously, two honest blokes, and that just went on from there, really. I decided, I got in contact with Steve, and he says best thing to do is to try and do it yourself. Go out, if you go out, you don't stop. You should stop watching everyone's videos, is what he said. He said, and then just go out and try it for yourself. So I did, and that's when the light bulb moment was. I'm reluctant to put this one up, from Loza.
Yeah, favorite way to investigate simple basics or equipment. Yeah. So I think it depends where you are and what's been experienced. So I like simple and basic. Simple and basic is like the best way.
Yeah.
Notepad and pen, possibility of a camera, just to kind of log that situation. You got if you're writing down everything that you're thinking, or something that's going on at the time, you'll write it down as it happens. Your brain doesn't have enough chance to kind of put layers on top of it. Always write in pen, never go back over your notes. And it sounds really quite boring,
Yeah.
but it's nice and simple. If you've got loads of equipment going, if it's data logging, if it's doing everything itself,
Yeah.
if you've got a data logging, if you're data logging temperature, EMF, whatever you want to do, and it is just doing those readings,
Yeah.
then give yourself a central time, and it can just literally be a clock on your phone that's going the entire time. So you've got this constant central time.
Yeah.
So you can put all that data together at the end and say, at this point, this was experienced as
Yeah.
per my notes where I've written the time when things happened, and you can go back. And it's that simple, but not if you're running around and you've got multiple gadgets and you're trying to deal with all these different things at once.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sit with the experiment, nice and simple, keep it basic.
Anna Kenneth there's actually put it there. He says, if ghosts are real, I think I meant to say there, are they camera shy? And I don't know. I really don't know how to answer things like that. To be fair.
Well, I don't think they are. I think if they do exist, we can capture, like, it's sort of like when people say, look at. Oh, Elaine, that's a good one. If we were trying to capture something like dark matter, so something NASA would do in order to see dark matter,
Yeah.
they don't look for dark matter. They look for the effect of it in its surroundings.
Yeah.
So I believe you could capture that effect on camera, possibly, but I don't believe you'd actually catch footage of a full apparition walking past, or say people would say was the holy grail of ghost footage. There's so much fake out there now that I think this day and age we couldn't, even if we did catch it, it wouldn't make any difference.
But that's what I'm thinking. If somebody, if you manage to capture a full apparition walking through your camera's field of vision, and I don't think people will believe it. There's just so much real CGI, and some people are exceptionally clever at editing as well.
Yeah.
And they know exactly how to actually make things look real. I think it's just, again, I'll go back to what Steve always used to say to me. He says, if you ever get bogged down with thinking what's right and what's wrong kind of thing, he says, just do it for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Don't do it for anyone else but yourself. And if you ain't enjoying it, then it's time to either take a break or just pack it in, kind of thing.
It's how I see it. I do this for me now. Before it was like you have to prove this and show this, or prove it's wrong, or try and get rid of the paranormal fog. Now I do it for me,
Yeah,
and I try and teach better methods to other
yeah.
people. Like, yeah, that's really my only aim.
Lane's there. Define a ghost. I mean, that is like that is a question and a half.
That's the first question I thought of when you said, "Do ghosts really exist?" It's like, well,
Yeah.
depends what you mean by a ghost.
Well, you could break that down into probably many different categories, though, couldn't you?
Hmm. Whether it's the spirit of someone who's passed, whether it's an entity of some type, whether it's something that we psychologically think in our head and we put two and two together in the wrong
Yeah,
way, and it's something that all humans experience. Defining a ghost is a massive subject in itself.
yeah. That's a question for another live stream. That is.
Yeah, go just write that one down.
Thanks for that question, Elaine. That could be another live stream for me. Although I'm probably not best to answer that one. To be fair, I don't think I've been in the field that long to be that experienced in it. To be fair. Well, Neil's right here. What you sell? Hello, Neil. How are you doing, mate? I think when you ain't got the camera rolling, more happens. I think when he thinks that they know that than when you've got cameras out. I don't know, to be fair, and I've people tell me that several times. Many times I've heard that. Put the cameras away and things start happening. But I mean, I don't think it does. If that's the case, and you know Hill House, obviously the first time when I made my video from Hill House, when there was just me and Laurie in there by ourselves, the first night we were there, I did the night of no cameras, no gadgets, no nothing. Just had a torch, and we went through pretty much the whole scenario with what we did with when we were all there the second night, and got sorry, the second night with the Ouija brothers. But yeah, it was good. I enjoyed it. To be fair, it was good. I felt I was missing something, obviously, but obviously without constantly having cameras attached to me and goodness knows what else, I felt as I was missing something. But no, good one, Neil. Right.
Given the fact that do ghosts really exist is the question,
Yeah.
the easy answer is yes, they do.
Right.
But when we look back through history, when we go back to sort of ancient Greece and things, are the first kind of the written, should I say, ghost experience, our first ghost story.
Yeah.
We've constantly had this experience of a ghost, whether it's someone who's passed away, whether it's some level of entity or spirit. We look back in the Bible. Don't know if you've seen Matt Arnold's new book. I absolutely cannot wait to get my teeth into. But when we look at the human experience, it's always included ghosts.
Yeah.
And again, whatever type of ghost that is, whether you're defining that as people who have passed, whether you're defining it as spirits or entities or demons or angels or an energy, whatever way you want to look at it,
Yeah.
we have always, as part of the human experience, experienced ghosts.
Yeah. Again, we hunt ghosts actually is probably hit the nail on the head there. Use your senses, don't rely too much on equipment. It's probably right, to be fair.
Almost. So if we use our senses, we have to understand our flaws.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean by when I say go equipment free.
Yeah.
Be aware of what your mind is doing. I'm in a cold space. In a cold space, I'm in a dark, haunted place that's apparently haunted, or there might be ghosts.
Yeah.
Already your adrenaline's up. I might be going cold. I might be getting warmer. I might start sweating, out of breath, all these kind of things like hyperarousal. Your brain is going to bring these things forward.
Yeah.
And that's why when you have an experience, it's not, I've seen a ghost and ghosts are real.
Yeah.
It's more of this is my personal experience and that was amazing for me.
Yeah.
So when we use our senses, we might be able to pick up on more or feel different and pick up the different emotions. But at the same time, what our brain is doing is fundamentally flawed. So
Yeah.
we will never gain evidence by using our senses.
Yeah. I just thought of something else I was going to ask you there. So you got a group of people in a room. One of them sees it. One of them keeps on saying, "I can see a ghost. I can see a ghost. I can see a ghost." Fair enough. In their minds, within their mind, they can actually. I'm not going to doubt them. They can probably see something. If that's the case, then why can't two or three other people in the room see it?
Because it might necessarily be their hallucination, not
Yeah,
not a physical object
yeah,
that's there or anything else. It may be something that's projecting from them,
yeah,
and we could think about it whether that is due to mediumistic ability or someone's psychic or anything like that.
yeah,
Um, but it could be just their brain is creating that image and they're looking at it. Especially if we're in a really dark area, we can fill in those gaps,
yeah,
and basically we can sort of put these things together and say, right, I can see it. I can see it there, and I'm looking. So I'm looking over there, but like, I'm looking, and I can see the shape of it, and all of this other imagery is coming in. For example, Woodchester.
mm.
So I didn't want to tell you before. Obviously, you went there in that sense, but there's the idea of the golem creature person in the cellar.
Would this tie in with what Reach Beyond is one of your best experiences, Kev?
Mm, it it was an interesting experience. I've got a very different best experience, which was very recent. But but this one was we're in the dark. We were retrying an experiment that worked previously for one of the other guys, and
Yeah,
they'd said to us, "Okay, good, we're going to give it a go." We didn't know what happened. None of us had a clue, but one of us who was there
yeah,
and recreating it. So we recreated it. One of the guys said something touched his leg, and I thought, okay, ever the skeptic.
yeah,
Um, and all of a sudden, it's like, oh, someone just touched my leg, which made me feel uncomfortable. And I thought, okay, that's strange.
yeah,
And then in the darkness, I could see it was a person sort of curled down in the corner, and they scooted along the floor in front of me, and then I could feel them actually up against my legs. They pushed up against like sideways to my legs, which completely threw me and completely threw everyone else because it was me that was saying this situation's happening,
yeah,
and I was like, what the hell? So I thought someone must be messing me around. So I flicked my leg out, big kick, and all there is on the camera is me just kicking in the midair.
yeah,
Um, and this thing sort of scuttered back into the corner, then come forward again. But what was really strange about it is only I could see it, only I could feel it. This sounds like the strangest thing. Emotionally, I could tell it was a person
yeah,
who was malnourished, somehow either mentally ill or disturbed, but also hyper vulnerable. They wanted closeness. That's all they want. It wasn't like a scare thing. They needed to like be close. I could feel that.
yeah,
I'm not necessarily psychic or anything else, but as you say, when one person is experiencing one thing, is it completely in my head as I'm experiencing that, or is it actually that this entity or spirit is projecting that just to me
mm.
and not to anyone else?
Yeah,
So that's what you got to kind of with those personal experiences that you got to take into account. Is that
yeah,
something for me? But again, there was a camera there. There wasn't anything caught on camera. There was my
yeah,
reaction, but not the actual spirit or whatever it was.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But the only strange thing about it is I'm not the only person to experience that spirit or entity in the cellar at Woodchester.
So does that mean like that if certain spirits will target people?
Possibly. And it might be due to so we look at brainwaves and we look at frequencies.
Yeah,
And so imagine two people who have fallen in love.
yeah,
Those brainwaves match up and they balance, and they're very similar, and they kind of move not far from each other. And it does make me wonder if there is such thing as ghosts or spirits or an entity in that sense, and they have a similar wave that they're
mm.
able all of a sudden to communicate or be seen or anything else. Massively theoretical,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
this is the stuff of books at the back of the library kind of thing. The skeptic in me is like slapping me around the face, going, "No, come on, get back to it." But is that a thing? Is that something that can be looked at? Something that could be measured at the time?
yeah, yeah. I'm going to go to this next question actually from, I know there's a lot of comments that I haven't actually gone through. I'm trying to get through some of them, but I'm obviously seeing some things that just flash up. So I apologise to everybody that I've actually missed so far. But this is a good one from Lisa Horton. Hello, Lisa. She's a great fan of the channel as well, and a great fan of actually paranormal stuff in general. I've seen her in many other channels as well, so she's a great supporter of a lot of honest paranormal channels. And this is something that I think is quite a classic. Well, I've heard this. People say this so many times that what she's actually saying here, and maybe you could try and explain this one.
Struggling to read it on the screen. So, why do children seem to experience very similar sightings, such as? Can you see the rest of that? Because it's all the words.
Such as a hooded, cloaked figure at night. Me and my sister used to have one sitting on our bed.
So there's a lot of things like this. So like the shadow person with a hat, the hat man.
Yeah.
The old hag during sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
Also UFO abductions, all connected at the same thing.
Yeah.
This is a cultural thing that we experience. So what's quite freaky and scary at the time. So what happens is we all have similar experiences over generations. You know, a man with a hat on in the room, and I say the hat man because it's just the main known one, you know, and he'll be a shadow man, and you can see his hat, and it's completely freaky, and all of a sudden, when you think about it, it's this poster from Exorcist where he's got his hat on that we subconsciously can take into the back of our brain.
Yeah.
It's the same as we look at the Grim Reaper. The Grim Reaper for 70, 80 years has been seen as this black hooded figure. We pick up on those things from kids' cartoons all the way through to like horror films.
Yeah.
We culturally accept certain scary elements, and our amygdala in the back of the brain, when we are experiencing anything like sleep paralysis or hypnagogia and hypnopompia, these back parts of the brain bring forward those subconscious thoughts. And when I said about filling in those gaps for the individual, that tends to be why. So those cultural things that we experience, the Hat Man, the old hag on the chest, came from mostly from the idea of like the old hag witches, which was all of a sudden like scary and potent, as well as then the alien abductions, which happened predominantly in the USA, had this hum noise the same as other people in the UK who suffer sleep paralysis. But instead of it layering over as an old hag, this guy in the thing, it was an alien abduction. So there's a lot of cultural elements that we take in all the time. When we're watching horror films, when we watch scary TV shows, every generation has like a scary element to it.
Yeah.
You know, Alfred Hitchcock. What makes you think of Alfred Hitchcock? The dark shape. You know, that's his silhouette of his thing. All these things really get ingrained in multiple minds.
Yeah.
So it also affects the experience that those individuals have, when really we're all absorbing the same kind of stimulus.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really talk about this that often actually, but I used to suffer a little bit with sleep paralysis when I was a lot younger. Probably when I was actually used to. I went through a phase of maybe like a year or two. I would have it every now and again. Probably when I was about late 19, 20, 21-ish kind of thing. Freaky when it first happened kind of thing. Absolutely
terrifying.
Cacked myself. You know, I'm face, well, not face down because I sleep. I'm kind of more asleep on my front, on my side. I'm not like I don't want people to sleep on my back. Probably again because I'm afraid of waking up and seeing what's directly above me. You get that scene from The Haunting of Hill House. My goodness me, can you even imagine seeing that when you wake up? God. I think I'll probably die on the spot, to be fair. Heart would just pack up. So I remember waking up. One of the worst ones I had, I was actually around with my mate's house for being out for a night out in Middlesbrough because he was at Middlesbrough Polytechnic before it was university. Woke up in one of his spare rooms, and I felt as if I had pressure. I was on my side, and I felt as I had pressure on my side, and I could hear breathing. Obviously, I know what that is now. obviously without how they explain sleep paralysis. But I could actually feel as though I was being touched and stroked down one side of me,
Mhm.
which was, I could actually feel like hands on, something like someone was touching me.
Yeah.
Again,
It's it's
it's a nerve thing, wasn't it? It's a nerve thing and a brain thing, wasn't it?
yeah. So it's your brain basically. So we have to remember our amygdala, our little fear center in the back, and our
Mm,
limbic system, which is our like really early brain before we got this bit at the front, which tries to rationalize everything. We drop to sleep, as you do. Our brain lets out chemicals to shut us down, shuts
yeah,
down our body. Then all of a sudden, the amygdala kicks in, and then releases adrenaline or cortisol, and all of a sudden we're not in a state of sleep or a state of awake.
yeah,
We're awake whilst we are paralyzed, so our dreams are almost able to come forward as they would have,
yeah,
and all of a sudden we're terrified, which again tells the amygdala adrenaline now.
yeah,
We're getting ready to run,
yeah,
and then it projects. So the first big feeling you get is I am not alone.
yeah,
I'm stuck. I'm paralyzed. I'm not alone. The terror begins. So does the hallucination.
yeah,
Sometimes it is just not being able to move. I've had sleep paralysis a few times where I am just urging myself. I know someone's in the room with me. I can feel someone is watching, and I'm asking for their help
yeah,
because I can't move. And then all of a sudden, it breaks free, and It's where the idea from it. When he's got the book with the birds.
yeah,
Look at all the different birds. That's how you snap out of sleep paralysis. You suddenly concentrate on one thing and let your brain kind of bit mindfulness while you're in that situation to
yeah,
calm you down, let the cortisol release, and then you're allowed to wake up.
yeah,
But because of that, there's so many different ghost stories that has ever come from that because it
yeah,
is
yeah,
projection. And I always say about Oliver Sacks' book Hallucinations, it's incredible. The guy has done so many studies on things like sleep paralysis, hypnagogia, hypnopompia,
yeah,
and in looking into that hallucination effect. And it is just the most. I recently had it. When was the last time I had it? About 2 months ago,
yeah.
and I had it 3 times in one night. So I fell asleep,
Wow.
had it, thought, oh, sleep paralysis. What the hell? I haven't had that in a while. Again, had it again, and then I thought, oh, this is ridiculous. The third time, I genuinely reached over and turned my lamp on
Yeah.
because I thought this is free to, and there's a certain level of terror I can take.
Yeah.
So, sleep paralysis, love it.
I just want to say, Wendy, thank you very much for the 5 gifted. I'm not getting notifications popping up that actually people have donated stuff. So if I've missed something, I really do apologise. But I just saw that looking through the chat. So Wendy's gifted 5 memberships to people. So many thanks for that, Wendy. Really appreciate it. Very kind indeed. I'm just looking through the just trying to catch up with. It was Mr. Gray's popped in. I hope he's. Have you watched The World of Mr. Gray, Kev?
No,
Nice bloke.
I've just jotted that down nicely.
The World of Mr. Gray. He's a Welsh fella. So yeah, I'd definitely worth checking out. That's for sure.
Okay.
What else we
See,
got?
always have a notepad and pen.
Oh, I'll be faffing around on my phone, thinking like, let me just write this down on my phone.
So where's my notes? Oh,
Tim's been in as well from the. Sorry, Tim, I never saw you there. Made all over the crack of Sparrow's fart. Nice one. An amusing chap. You wouldn't think he was a copper. Just shows policemen do have a sense of humour. There we go. That was good. Yeah, Tony UK. Sleep paralysis is frightening, especially when you have your first. Yeah, exactly. Seems very real. I had and saw a skeleton crouched on my chest, pushing me down. Flaming heck. That's the stuff of nightmares right there. I've never had sleep paralysis since my early 20s. I've never had it again since. But I remember the first time it happened to me when I was like a bit younger, like probably like mid to late teens. first time it happened, I was like, I was kind of like, face down again, and I felt as if like, someone was kneeling on my back, hands on the shoulders as well, breathing, thinking, bloody hell, spells. It was the freakiest thing to ever experience firsthand.
It's so real to the
Yeah,
experience though. It's real, and that's what I've always said when I do residential investigations. And people say,
yeah,
"I don't you think I'm crazy?" It's like it doesn't matter what you might think is crazy. You've
yeah,
had an experience. If you I've had situations where people believe they're raped by demons,
yeah,
and they're like, "I know it sounds crazy," and it's like this person is being traumatized by their own brain continuously,
yeah,
in situations like sleep paralysis, and they are really experiencing it, and that's what people forget when people come forward with these notions and this sort of I've experienced this terrifying situation.
yeah.
Oh, Corinne, bless her. Um,
Hello, Corinne.
oh, hello.
I fancy seeing
um,
you here. Why she got an icon of a plane there, for God's sakes? I'm
she
sure you could put
loves
a better picture up there, love.
she loves her planes, bless her.
I've got one here from my. This is Steve, by the way, who you met at the
Hmm.
weekend. Do you have any paranormal? Do you have any heroes in the paranormal field? Although he seems to have said it
Oh,
in caps, which people say that's shouting. Why is he putting it in caps?
bless him. Yeah, no, I've got a few. So Harry Price is one of them.
Yeah,
Definitely. Just when I was a kid, I saw him as a bit of a superhero.
yeah,
Um, loved loved to just live his life. That was like this idea of being able to go around and investigate all these mysteries.
yeah,
And it was real life mysteries. It wasn't something that was made up in cartoons. It was documented investigations of this stuff. So
yeah,
yeah, Harry Price is definitely a big one,
yeah.
and I,
Maybe even Vincent
I,
Price.
I think I think I think nowadays people need to look at, so there's certain people in the paranormal, and people might not like him or me saying it, or they might love him, but Steve Parsons as an investigator is absolutely fantastic. His books, the stuff he does for SPR, where he writes, the
Hmm.
guidance notes for investigators, that kind of stuff. I think he's a modern day Harry Price in that sense, and he'd
Right.
probably laugh at me for saying that. But I think I look at his work, and I questioned him a lot when I first came into the paranormal, where I was saying, "What about this? What about that? What about that?" And we had multiple discussions. We've always been pretty level with each other,
Yeah.
in the way we do things. And his books, I'd love to have time to write books alongside his and that kind of thing. But the guy has a knack for it, and he's a down to earth ghost hunter.
Yeah.
He's not an academic. He's not anything else. He is a full graft ghost hunter, and
Yeah.
is a modern day one. Um, I'm just random bang in my house while I'm talking about
Yeah. I heard that.
it. How strange. Hello?
That's it.
No, nothing.
You forgot to say hello. Is there anyone there? Come on,
Is there
Kev.
anybody there? Like, I was going to get a book thrown at me in a minute or
Yeah.
something like that.
God, imagine that happening live on camera.
That's it. Yeah.
That would maybe silence the non-camera critics.
I'd be like, oh,
What did I see from? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? Where's it gone? There. From Dearest Laws.
have to read that.
Says Kev, do you have a personal opinion on what ghosts and hauntings are, or a result of, as in brackets, dead people?
Addicted people. So me and Lorraine had this discussion quite a few times where she really thinks that is the one option for ghosts is
Yeah,
is the idea of dead people. But my personal opinion, as in,
yeah,
I think ghosts are the result of us. I think they are either a physical or mental projection, so either within our head or something that we create,
yeah,
and put out in the world. I feel as if they come from us. So when we look at angels and demons and nice and bad and scary and
yeah, yeah,
all of these things, that we project that. And I think the reason why we believe that it's the ghosts of people who have passed on is because actually the memories of that person live on in us.
Yeah.
Whether our parents, our grandparents, that kind of thing. When they pass, their existence is in everyone's memory of them.
Yeah.
So for me, I believe ghosts, creatures, fae, all that kind of thing. I would say my closest thing for it is we either create it in our heads
Yeah.
as a visual representation that we can, see. And there are people out there who don't visualize things in their head. Oh, there's a cat. So
Okay.
it's just likes to get involved.
Jesus,
There
me.
is that visual representation that we see in our heads. There are people out there who can't visualize anything in their heads.
Yeah.
But I think there's also that possibility of some level of projection for it, which I could not scientifically go down the road of trying to prove, claim, or anything else. That's just something that is a belief in me that maybe the individual is the cause of the ghost.
Yeah.
And there'll be a million reasons why that isn't true, and a million points that people could make to say, well, actually, once I experienced this, or there always will be. But as
Yeah.
for my belief or my feeling, I would say that was it.
Um, Jan, thanks for posting this. It's I'm very, very sorry to hear about your parents. That's for sure. But then she says, I was a carer of both my parents, and shortly after they both died, I had sleep paralysis of both of them crawling across the landing and up under my bed. I wasn't scared so much, just heartbroken. I mean, that is just like that's. I really feel for you on that one, Jan. That's
Yeah,
a
you're
horrible thing to witness. But
you're not alone though, and that's the funny thing about these situations when someone passes. So, a very common one, and you really need to look up Cal Cooper's research because he does a lot about grief and experiences following on from those situations. It's terrible. I mean, it's very similar with my father as well. I had a very very vivid dream.
yeah,
Um, but what a lot of people experience is similar to sleep paralysis. They go through sleep paralysis, but the person sort of appears right in front of them,
yeah,
and it wants them to come with them.
yeah,
And says, "Come on, come with me. It's okay. No, it's fine. Everything's fine. Come on, we're going to go." And then obviously the person wakes up and they haven't gone with their loved one.
yeah,
It's like the ultimate torture that your brain has kind of created for you.
yeah, yeah,
But at the same time, you want to go with it. You want to know where they've gone. There's a lot of questions going on in your brain at the time, and I think it's almost a trauma response from our brains to do that.
yeah,
Um, but at the same time, I'm always surprised at the exactness of those situations where so many people come forward to say they've had the person, crawl up on the bed as well, like you've experienced.
yeah,
But they come to the face and they're like, you can come with me. It's safe. Come with me.
yeah, yeah,
But I'm not sure if I put it down to any spiritual kind of aspect, but definitely a trauma response that
yeah,
is cruel on yourself.
yeah, definitely. Wisdom says I woke up blind once. I didn't get my sight back for about 30 minutes or so afterwards. It was terrifying.
So
Wow.
a really interesting point there because what you can have, so stress can create blindness, and this sounds like the strangest thing ever.
Yeah,
So most people can have an emotional breakdown. Um, the body just sort of stops. It's like I'm done. They can fall into depression. They can fall into like hefty anxiety. Um, but with what you got to think is your optic nerve is a very important thing for the brain survival. Um, all of that adrenaline and cortisol as you're sleeping, if you're going to go through that kind of stress response,
yeah,
at the same time can shut down senses that it needs to shut down.
yeah,
It shuts down certain parts of the body that's required for you to escape. But that doesn't necessarily always get it right.
yeah,
So some people who suffer with stress also suffer with stress blindness.
yeah.
Um, and I've known a couple of people who have experienced it and said it was just they've had like 2 or 3 days of blindness
Wow.
from it. So like 30 minutes is a nice, okay, everything's clicking back in, it's fine. At the same time, we can have psychological fits. So we can have almost epileptic fits without the physical sparks in the brain that's creating the fit.
Hmm.
So that could be just purely psychological.
Yeah,
Um, so we've got to take that into account. But when you say you wake up, you 30 minutes you can't see, I'm interested to know if you were complete black darkness, your eyes were just not working, whether you could
Yeah.
move your eyes at the same time, all of that. But it doesn't really surprise me that, the optic nerve will shut down
Yeah.
just as much as any other part of the physical body will in the stress response.
Yeah. just to lighten the mood slightly. That was Corinne going back to that. Saying
So
it
Dad's
was
playing, yeah.
Dad's playing. So yeah, I apologise, Corinne. I didn't mean no offence by it. That's for sure.
It takes more than that to offend Corinne.
I'm sure it does. She's a good lady, though.
She is, bless her. I'll tell you what, in my whole paranormal, my whole paranormal career, I've about 5 years in when Corinne messaged me asking about some evidence that they'd found
Yeah.
back when she was an ultimate believer, and I gave her the response. And I'll tell you what, at that point, I think a lot of people were ready to throw stones. And if you ask my opinion, you get it. That's just
Yeah.
how I am. It's not any horribleness or anything else. It's like, if you think this is what it is, from
Yeah.
what I know. And she took it on board, and she was like, "Oh wow!" And then, what about this one? What about this one? And then we
Yeah.
built this amazing friendship over the years. And she's been an absolute pinnacle in me experiencing lots of different. If Kev is more skeptical, yeah, probably. um, but so
Cheers,
like,
Theo.
so I'm very grateful for Corinne and our friendship in the paranormal, because she's got me into
Yeah.
places that I would never have
Yeah.
seen before.
Cheers, Broken Capital. No worries at all, mate. I know the notification system for YouTube is absolutely terrible, to be fair. It's the same for all bloody platforms these days. They're just absolutely terrible. But he quite often calls me the God tongue, but for my voiceover stuff.
Your booming voice. You're like,
Oh God.
but going back to like Beardo there, like
Yeah.
you say about skepticism. So when I first began in the field, and I was the arsehole skeptic, and I mean
Yeah.
death threats, the whole caboose, because
It sounds like Beardo again.
I watch your stuff, and I think, you're good. I see where you're coming from, because I was exactly the same, and people hated it, and it's because of the emotional aspect of the paranormal. And
Yeah.
it's like, once you get the hang of the emotional aspect, you realize people are just offended by the strangest things.
Oh yeah, definitely.
But they will ask your opinion and then be
Yeah.
offended by it,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I used to rip everyone a new arsehole. That was
Yeah.
because I was angry at what I saw coming out of the paranormal. I loved the paranormal. I wanted more ghosts and more evidence, and I
Yeah.
was getting more.
But honest evidence, though.
Yeah,
You know.
and it was just full of people just making stuff up left, right, and centre,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
or not understanding any of it, and it was a bit of a dark world back then.
Yeah.
But like, I appreciate what Beardo does. Like, fair play to him, he goes in for the debunk, and we need critical thinkers in the paranormal, and we
Yeah.
need people to listen to critical thinkers, because they can give you a fresh perspective,
Yeah.
like, regardless. But
World of Mr. Grey does debunking as well, by the way. So
fantastic.
that's the chap you wrote down before. And I just want to point out that to Dale as well, Beardo. I've got me brains glass, mate. Look at that Welsh dragon on there. One of the best beers in the country, mate. Brains SA. Even though that's not Brains SA in it. You can't get that stuff up here anyway. I have to go back down to Wales to go and get some of that. Yeah, so again, another aspect of of ghosts or people seeing ghosts. Sometimes the same person seems to see that not the same, but seems to see multiple ghosts all the time. Again, could that be like, obviously we know that obviously the brain and the mind are a very untapped resource, and we don't know everything about it at all. Could that be them just actually experiencing things, projections from their mind constantly?
You set me up here. So
I'm not setting you up, mate. I'm not.
so there are people who you could be considered more sensitive. They're more sensitive to people's emotions around them. They may have grown up in traumatic experiences, which make them more aware of change in emotion with people, so they can almost protect themselves really quickly.
Yeah.
And we've always got to remember, and this is the critical thinking aspect, and this isn't horrible to any individual, but some individuals lie. They lie. Some other individuals like the attention that brings.
Yeah.
So some individuals, and I don't tend to investigate with those people, or if I ever do, I don't tend to again, because they tend to just.
Another one on the list.
But this, there's a little blacklist of like, oh no, I can't go through that
Yeah.
again. But there are individuals who go to these places and then they go, oh, I can feel this, and oh this, oh I just saw this, I just saw that,
Yeah.
and they like what attention it brings. Now at the same time, there are other people who are more open to that experience. So
Yeah.
I won't name names and I won't put certain people up, but one time someone was sold to me as a um, really experienced in this, dealing with the dark arts and dealing with, they are like the perfect person to investigate. Sounds absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
Shit themselves in 5 minutes of walking into the dark, and it's like, oh, these people sell themselves as like it's quite cool and it's quite
Yeah.
hardcore,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, like, and
Oh,
I'm
I'm a bit
saying,
dark. I'm a bit dark. I am.
yeah, look at it all, just a bit of danger, and it's like, oh, well, they walk. I'm very special because I'm picking up on this all the time, and it's like that's fine, but but for me, if I'm trying to investigate or I'm trying to find something, these people just stand in the way, and they are a problem,
Yeah.
and that sounds horrendous. I'm very open to however anyone wants to feel.
Yeah.
I've been the hardcore skeptic. I'm very open minded now, where I'm willing to take on anyone's perspective. But it's very easy to see when someone is very me, and you could just turn around and say to them, "Up,
Yeah.
because you're ruining the opportunity for everyone else."
Yeah.
And yes, you are the center of attention, but not for all the right reasons.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes, some people might believe you and they might follow you to the end of the earth and believe you because they trust you, but you can see by your behavior and everything else that you can't be trusted.
Yeah.
Then at the other side, what I tend to find is people who do have something that gives them that extra sense or anything else, they don't tend to pull it forward and throw it in your face. It
Yeah.
tends to be very subtle, and they'll go, "So I'm getting this." You go, "Okay, yeah, cool," and you just write it down, and then usually tend to find their information is much more accurate
Yeah.
in some way, shape, or form. So
Mm.
just for everyone who's watching to be aware of those individuals, because
Yeah.
they just ruin it for everyone else.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we've got a good one in from Lee. Yeah. So, Kev, he says, do you believe that there could be multiple dimensions, stroke worlds, that energy can cross over from time to time? I'm a bit of a believer in this as well. So, I find myself thinking about these multiple worlds and multiple existences, almost like a time slip kind of basis. So,
Yeah.
could ghosts, if anybody sees a ghost, could they be a projection of another timeline?
Technically. So if you look up, okay, quantum theory's never a fun thing to throw around in the paranormal because I won't claim to be a quantum physicist or anything else, but in theory, as a hypothesis, so you look at M string theory where a dimension is here and a dimension is right underneath it, and they both work on very similar waveforms. So I'm going to draw it because it's just much easier.
Oh, picture. We're playing Pictionary.
So I bring it to the camera.
Yeah.
So this is dimension 1, dimension 2,
Yeah.
and they run very similar frequency.
Yeah.
And that frequency doesn't have to be massively different. It
Yeah.
doesn't. It doesn't have to be very similar. Although the line for the energy in that sense is.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is just a picture, and then all of a sudden there's a slight difference in 2,
Yeah.
which changes this waveform to here.
Yeah.
And then at that point, everyone can see it.
They
At
meet and
that
cross.
point is where they meet and cross.
Mm.
I can get on board with that. I can get on board with that idea. I mentioned David M. Rowntree at Justin's podcast before.
Yeah.
The guy is known as a fraud and that kind of thing, unfortunately, but he has an absolutely terrific book, like Paranormal Technology, and the idea about wormholes and basically that connection between the 2 points, that small wormhole that kind of is created. And there's probably some quantum physicists out there going, "This guy is an absolute idiot." But
Yeah.
I'm looking at that theory and I'm thinking, that could really work when it comes to time slips, when it comes to suddenly seeing a scene or a person do something and then come back again. We like stone tape theory and things, but I
Yeah.
like the M string theory, this idea of this slight crossover in dimensional path.
Yeah. Yeah, I can understand the whole. I can get on board with the whole stone tape theory thing. Obviously, being I, I'd do a lot of like restoration work in my
Hmm.
in my field of business. So obviously, if you're going to go down the line of silicon chips hold
Hmm.
memory, obviously the silicon in or silica
Silica. Hmm.
in stones in
Yep.
stone, and obviously even in bricks and mortar as well. Obviously, it's in there, but obviously
Yep.
more so in stone. But yeah, I can get that whole theory. Whether or not I will actually, I believe it, but I can understand that. That's for sure.
I think that's what made it very popular. Is it's a very very simple theory.
Yeah,
I was speaking today about electric, obviously, electric being electric, the idea that electrons are moved through a conductor and are kind of pushed through. And then it comes down to stone tape theory. Is that what we create some kind of um, energy wave, sorry, that pushes that energy through bits and bobs, etc., like through atoms as it goes through, and then it
yeah,
comes out the other side, and actually it comes out the other side as a replay of whatever was pushed through in the beginning. Um, that is just again my stoner brain, you know, kind of going like this. It could be this. It could be that. It could be that. It's nice to talk about them. So,
yeah, yeah. Just going back to what Elaine mentioned there before about people. Obviously, you touched on it as well. People making stuff up.
mm-hmm.
Um,
Could you write to read it because I can't read it.
it
It's all
says
gibberish.
so. If I go back to what she said before, where's it gone? Where's it gone? That one. Why do you think people make stuff up in the paranormal? I can't understand that. Is it a vulnerability? Is it a vulnerability in them, or a need to belong, or is it something else? And then Biro says that Elaine, for a lot of people, it's for fame. They all want to be the next Yvette Fielding or Zach Baggins, whatever you call them. And then she says further down there, do you think they start off making it up, or is it the pressure of needing to be credible after coming forward for support or help with claims of genuine phenomena, etc., etc.?
So, it's a
Have that,
really
Mr. Kev.
really interesting point. So, what we've got to take into account when someone wants fame, they've got certain psychopathic tendencies that require, or narcissistic tendencies that require them to be almost, what's the way to describe it? Almost praised for what they're doing. Like,
Yeah,
look at me, look at me. At the same time, there could be vulnerable individuals who have never received praise for anything,
yeah,
and they need that. Now, this doesn't just limit to the paranormal community. This is hobbyist communities.
yeah,
These people are attracted to things that they can hide in, and they can use, like with the paranormal. We got so many what ifs and questions that they can fight the corner. You can't question me because you don't know. There's no proof or evidence that the paranormal is real, so
yeah,
you can't tell me that it's wrong or not. This is what I feel, and you can't invalidate my emotions. It's a very easy place to lay your opinion. And these people then get attention for that, whether it's negative, whether it's, thousands of people hate them, or
yeah,
whether because it's still attention, it still fills that little void in them that is either been brought forward from upbringing, or whether there is a genetic defect in there that's caused certain things, or leading to a chemical imbalance, whatever has made that happen. These individuals can be, they need good constant validation, and actually they need to build like you find recently with social media a lot, is they want to build a big following,
yeah,
because the big following will protect them and they don't have to protect themselves anymore. But they're so gifted and they're so wonderful that look at all these followers that I have.
yeah,
And it's that egotistical. Some people do this very small amount. Don't get me wrong, I love it when people like what I do in the paranormal, as
yeah,
most people would, as yourself, Mark. If someone came up
yeah,
to you and said, I absolutely love your podcast, I love your videos. You go, thanks, that's really nice.
No, it's very gratifying. I mean, I used to. I'm going to say this. It was really, when I was trying to build the channel up, I was like really like shoving. Well, I wasn't shoving it down people's throats, but I was just like I was more intent to get to that that 1,000. I wanted to get to that 1,000 kind of thing. But when I got to the 1,000, I really like eased off, and I just didn't. The subscribers and the subscriber count didn't actually really bother me at all. Really, I always say this: it's so nice to get the comments, the likes, and obviously people grow the channel kind of thing, and it's fantastic to get all that. It really is. But for me, it's more to do with like the content that I put out these days more than more than trying to grow the channel. I'm not really interested in becoming a big channel at all. I mean, I've seen what the problems the bigger channels seem to get. I can't be arsed with that in my life, to be honest.
But you'll find that those people who are those egotistical kind of attention seeky type people are the ones who will come after you if you're bigger and got more followers.
Yeah.
It's a very easy way to suck in more people to point in your direction.
I've seen it happen. I've seen it happen to Beardo's channel. I've seen it happening to the Ouija Brothers. When I first started watching the Ouija Brothers, they were on like something like 15,000 followers kind of thing.
Yeah.
And now look at them. They seem to obviously Steve's very good at controlling what he puts out. He seems to ignore the majority of bad press that might come his way. He does obviously put it out sometimes, but as I said before, on Justin's podcast, and Beardo was saying it, but anarchy seems to follow Beardo at the moment anyway.
But it will,
and it will, as long as he keeps on calling people out for what he believes is false information, or if you want to call it that, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Any level of success is always followed by negativity. And that's what you've got to kind of understand in this day and age in the paranormal, where a lot of things are social media based and follower based. When we look at the likes of certain TV paranormal investigators, they're not the best investigators, but they made it on telly.
Yeah,
it doesn't make them good at what they do. They've got a big following. Once someone's got a big following, they're going to sort of try and rip them in order to get their own following up, and it just carries on and on and on.
Yeah.
Is that emotional vampires then?
Yeah, emotional vampires. Yeah, it seem to just want to suck the life force out of you. I want to just touch on this one from Wisdom. Question: do you think people who have NDE are more susceptible to seeing ghosts?
I've never really known the origin of this. I'm not sure if it's a media-based thing, that somehow you have to be close to death and then all of a sudden that veil thins.
Yeah.
I've never really known that be the case. I've never really known someone. I've never known someone who's had an NDE.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden they experience ghosts. I've only ever seen that on films.
Yeah.
At the same time, I've never spoke to someone who, basically the direct opposite. So any person I spoke to who has got a gift or is able to see, it hasn't started from a near-death experience. That doesn't mean that necessarily someone hasn't. If you look at Sam Treasurer, she done her doctorate masters, one of them in astral projection, near-death experience, that kind of. And I'd love to ask her the question, because really I've never thought about it, but I've never actually experienced anyone saying I had a near-death experience, then all of a sudden I was experiencing psychic phenomena or more ghost things happening, anything like that. And if they did, I'd be looking at what it's going to sound really harsh, but it's not meant to be harsh.
Yeah.
Whether they had experienced any kind of level of brain damage or chemical change.
Yeah.
From whatever the near death, whether it was head trauma, whether it was they were unconscious and without oxygen for extended a period of time. What did that do to their brain chemistry that enabled them to suddenly do it? But again, that's my brain thinking, how can we look at that?
I've got this one from We Hunt Ghosts, where I've read stories of people vanishing into thin air, have they walked into some kind of portal or dimension?
It could be anything. So it could be
Again, it
vanishing.
could be a brain orientated thing again.
Yeah, it could just be you suddenly snap out of it when you think of situations like hypnopompia and things as we're dropping off to sleep.
Yeah,
We can sleep standing up. I've known people do. I've worked on the railway long enough to know people can sleep standing up. But the as the brain begins to shut down and that kind of layer between reality and not reality kind of comes in. Shut your eyes and picture what was that?
Mark's voice. Shut your eyes and picture him speaking from the heavens.
That I'm here with a message.
Cheers, Aaron.
When we think about that sudden balance and that sudden change, if you're suddenly experiencing something and then you wake up or
Yeah,
your brain kicks back in,
yeah,
something can disappear. At the same time, on the spiritual aspect or the believer aspect, was it the layout of the building as you saw someone walk past that actually they walked through a doorway into another room that wasn't there,
yeah,
isn't there now,
yeah,
and they disappear from view?
yeah,
There's so many things that can come from that, or the idea that suddenly something can just disappear or appear.
yeah,
And again, the M string theory, that all of that. So there's so many different theories that can explain
yeah,
in theory and as a hypothesis, but not reality,
yeah,
unfortunately.
yeah. Definitely, man. Definitely. I just want to admit this one made me giggle as well. That I just saw that one there. Since Mark's been speaking, it's raining in Wales. He made the sky wet with those dulcet tones.
That's exactly it. It brings in the storm.
What's he like, for God's sakes? Oh, God Almighty. Right, I get back on get back onto topic. Oh dear me, you got to love them. You got to love them. From Michelle Bell, I did an
Michael.
EVP session in my
Michael
home.
Bell.
Eh?
Michael
Sorry, sorry, Michael. I'm tired. I've been up since R4 this morning. I did an EVP session in my home a few weeks ago after I lost my mum and dad. I lost them within 4 hours of each other. My goodness me, Michael. I'm really sorry to hear that, mate. I really am. On the same day as I got sorry, son. Totally freaked me out. So that was the EVP. Sorry, son.
Yeah. So obviously in that situation, and again, I'm really sorry to hear that. That is not something anyone wants to go through. But at the same time, we got to think you obviously were doing an EVP session for a reason.
Yeah.
You were within 3 hours of each other is just horrendous. But
Yeah, man.
but you were there for a reason, and you wanted some, and you can have that. You can have that it says sorry something, but at the same time, there are other explanations to why that would happen, and why it would be so perfectly in context as well.
Yeah.
And we think about audio pareidolia and all those kind of things.
Yeah.
I don't want to take any of that experience away from you at all.
No, not at all. Not at all.
If that's given you what you need, I think you should take it 100%.
Yeah.
But there are other options that happen.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's just. I mean, that's like, it's emotion overload when things like that happen.
Yeah. And again, I apologise for my kind of forward approach.
Yeah.
A lot of what I do has to cut through the emotional aspects to get through to the reasons why these happen.
Yeah.
And that's because of 15 years of trying to debunk and get to the truth.
Yeah.
So it is a horrible experience, but there are scientific explanations as to what you did experience.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, when we've most of us now have obviously in I'm 52 now, for God's sakes. I lost my dad in 2010, and that was a immensely traumatic time. And he suffered for a lot of years, to be fair, with prostate cancer. But yeah, I was there with him when he went. My goodness me, That experience never leaves you.
It never does. No.
No. I've got to the end. I've got to the end. I just saw comments 188, and I think I've just got to the very end of them all. There was one up here that I saw. I don't know if I'll get it back again. God, who said it? Who said it? I thought it was quite a good one, to be fair. There we go. From Ginger Dave. Is there ghost hunting equipment out there you believe in, or is it just showing false positives?
So if we find, if someone created a ghost detector that was real, they will win the Nobel Prize, and for the decade, they will. That technology with that ability will blow science through the roof and will be world changing, as in completely world changing. And that's what I think of when I think of this equipment, is something with that actual ability. Oh my God, the whole world's changed. We now know that people watch us sleep and watch us in the shower. Their ghosts are real and all kinds of other things. It'll change the outlook of the whole economy and the whole world. So no, there is no ghost hunting equipment that can prove the existence of ghosts. But there is what is considered to be ghost hunted equipment that is, in fact, quantifiable. You can get data from it, and accurate data. You can have them calibrated so that they are. Comes up with fun, nice. You can get them calibrated so that they are giving you specific and perfect readings. So you can measure temperature, you can measure EMF, barometric pressure. You can have like full FLIR cameras set up that are giving you full readings of the area, so you see if there is something cold that's walking through the room or temperature that's moving through the room. All those things can be data loggers, which is the most important, is constantly logging that data, readings every few seconds or every 30 seconds, however much your data wants to be. So yes, there is equipment you can use, but as in for ghost hunting equipment, it is just equipment.
When I first started out, I was probably when I first started doing this stuff, I had my friend Lindsay Sivera, who got me involved with the Ghost Club.
Jack the Ripper, Lindsay.
Yes.
I know.
Legendary lady, and I'm so pleased to have her as a friend. She's and she's a criminologist. And a crime historian. A crime historian. Now she's worked in the Scotland Yard. Crime music. The Black Museum, is that what it's called? I think it's called the Black Museum.
You're going out of my jurisdiction.
She worked there with what do you call him? Who used to be on he used to be on Most Haunted, and now does his own thing. Does a lot of story. Hey, Richard Felix, Richard Felix. Anyway, so wonderful lady, full of so much information, it's unbelievable. And
I've met her a few times at ASAP conferences and things. So.
Have you?
Yeah.
Ah, nice. Yeah. Well, when I went to one of the first Ghost Club Christmas party, I think I went with her, and there was a chap there. I do forget his name. I really do, because I met so many people there, and he'd obviously watched a few of my videos, kind of thing, and he says, "Why do you use those gadgets?" He was obviously very anti-gadget kind of thing, which is fine, perfectly fine. I totally respect that. Your live recording will. Oh, God's sakes! We'll have to have you wrap this up within the next half an hour. I'm getting told by the program I can only go for 2 hours.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, he said, why do you use them? He said, I'll tell you for why. He said, I'm not having a go at you. You can use whatever you want. But he said, nobody knows for sure, and anybody that tells you this is a liar. That they actually know what frequency, if ghosts are even real, what frequency do they work on, and how do they even react or interact with these gadgets that we use, K2s, REM pods, all the rest of it. Do you even know what frequency your REM pod operates at? I said, I don't. I says, who actually knows that? Can you actually test that?
Yeah.
You can actually test that. But obviously then we don't know. On the flip side of that, obviously we can find that out, but on the flip side of that, we don't know what ghosts, if they are indeed real, what frequency they operate at, and do they even
it could be
operate?
different.
Do
It
they
could be
even
an individual one.
do they even operate on a frequency?
2 seconds. I'm going to get 2 things here.
Are you up?
So this is the best you're going to get if you want to understand tech and equipment and what to use, right? So as I said earlier about Steve, okay, so Ghostology,
Yeah.
absolutely fantastic book, talks about every different type of equipment that you can think of, including various different types of microphones and what does what, and even down to memory cards.
Yeah.
And again, this is his, which he did for the SPR. So this is using equipment, and it's a guidance notes for investigations of apparitions, hauntings, poltergeists, and similar phenomena. And you can get that sometimes on Amazon, but you can definitely get it on the SPR website.
Yeah.
The Society for Psychical Research. If you need to know about equipment, those 2 books, they'll do it all day. Like they'll cover you completely.
So basically, I can throw my cat balls away. I can throw my.
There's no harm in experimentation. There is, and it sounds really ridiculous, but I think I said to you about in regards to poltergeist activity that testing different types of materials.
Yeah.
Sounds nuts, but it's an experiment.
Yeah.
And I think when it comes to equipment, we kind of do this quite amateuristic experiment where we use these things to see what happens.
Yeah.
But we just don't do the experiment right.
No.
And half the time we spent so much money on the bloody piece of equipment, we want it to work regardless. So that gives us another false positive.
Yeah.
And once you understand the equipment and what it does and what its limitations are, you can build very good experiments.
Yeah.
For trying to, not trying to explain, but because even if you do an experiment and it fails, you are still one step forward than you were before you did the experiment. So you can fail multiple times, but as long as you change what you're attempting to do, you'll be moving forward. So when it comes to equipment, we can try these new things, try them, do what you want, but understand them. Don't just go, the bleepy flashy went bleepy flashy, so ghost. And it's like, you're so far from reality if you think that is how it's going to work.
Yeah.
A
lot of the stuff is quite expensive, so you actually could well be wasting your money.
The amount some of it costs now is just insane.
Yeah.
And no offense to those who build it, and no offense to those who use it, but you could build it for a tenner.
Yeah.
Get a Furman and put it in a box with some.
The thing is, I'll quickly touch on cat balls there as an example. So, me personally, I've grown not to believe just because they flash stationary that is something touching it. I don't believe that whatsoever. They are such cheap circuitry inside. It would take anything. I've stamped down them and they've not gone off, but then other times they've just been sitting there and they've just gone off by themselves, not moved, just gone off. So I've got to the point there now with cat balls that I know I only have one working cat ball left. To be fair, I want to actually see it moved. So and I say there now. I said it on the investigation of the weekend at Woodchester Mansion. I was in the bathroom, and you got that that hole in the wall, that square hole in the wall between the bathroom and the shower area.
Yeah.
I put the cat ball inside of there, and I said, I'm not interested in actually that's being stationary and flashing. I want to see something move that or push that through into the shower cubicle, or push it from the shower cubicle area out into the main room before I even will acknowledge that it's even done something.
Anything happen?
Nope. Damn, I've spoiled the video now.
but this is the thing with them. Cat balls, they're a tilt switch inside of a ball to connect to LEDs.
Yeah.
That tilt switch is more sensitive depending which way. And I did a TikTok about it to sort of explain that this ball can sit this way and it's harder to set off, or I can put it on its side and I can set it off with. I've got quite a bassy voice. If I'm in an area that's echoey as well, it's a lot extra. Like you probably find yourself, you say something in somewhere like Woodchester Mansion, and your voice travels around the room.
Yeah.
That vibration just from that can set them off. So if you were calling out, you're going to get a response every time you call out because your voice is going to set that off.
Yeah.
It's like same as small vibrations. It doesn't matter if you're got on a table or anything else. That's the problem with them. And people who love them and say they work and that's fine. Like go be you. Go enjoy yourself. Go and think it's a ghost. That's amazing if that's what you enjoy.
Yeah.
But there's people out there with enough passion and enough logic to go, that doesn't work, so we need to stop using that.
Yeah.
Because there's another thing that we can try that can then maybe become the thing that could work, the scientific method, push forward and work on those experiments.
Yeah, definitely. Another one here from Elaine, actually, which we touched on Woodchester before. Obviously, me and Steve were right at the top of the building in that lovely corridor with like the wishbone Gothic arches. My goodness me, I could drool over stonework like that.
Absolutely amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
Superb. But yeah, we could hear. Obviously, I think all the rest of the guys and girls were down in the basement, and I could still hear it in the distance. And she's right. Elaine's right. What she said here: sound travels different in the cold. If it travels further and becomes more amplified, which is very true, especially if the air is still as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in a cold building, and the air is still, you can really amplify.
Yeah. So has anyone experienced increased EVP phenomena following a drop in temperature? That's an interesting theory. And I think if I have to pull together sort of all the information I've got of it, when people have found EVPs, I'm just thinking where they're recording. This is just in my experience. This isn't anything scientific. It's just suddenly something to think about.
Yeah.
Whether that temperature, I'm not entirely sure, but it's that's an interesting experiment, and this is what I mean by what we can do. So that becomes your experiment. Okay, so you think sound travels different in cold. Okay, great. The other aspects that you'd have to take into account for the experiment is also when the recorder itself is in a cold temperature in regards to battery usage, because obviously the battery becomes a bit less thing when it comes to the wiring, the resistance that happens within the recorder itself. But you can create an experiment that actually you can have places like Woodchester which is constantly at a cold temperature.
Yeah.
And I don't believe many EVPs are picked up there. But you could perform that as an experiment in multiple different locations.
Yeah.
So there's massive, like it's very cold in that area. Brilliant. I'm in the middle of doing an experiment that I've been doing for the last couple of months.
Yeah.
And I've got my recorder. Great. What I'm going to do is leave it in the ambient temperature for 15 minutes without turning it on. That's my first step. Then I'm going to press record, and I'm going to do 8 5-minute EVP sessions from one location.
Yeah.
At that point of the location, I'm taking the temperature using an external thermometer in order to get the correct temperature for that. Whether it's calibrated or not, it's good to have it calibrated, but it's a good start just to have it there. And try that at each location as you find the temperature is lower, or later on in the night when the temperature is going down. But just follow that methodology each time and see what it comes back. But that was really interesting. I like that.
Thanks for popping in, Lisa. I know there's been a few people leaving there lately. I haven't actually had a chance to. Obviously, Diane's gone as well as a few other people have gone as well. So thanks for everybody that has dropped by. And obviously, I don't expect everybody to stop all the way through. It's you've got your own lives to lead. Just drop in and out as you see, as you feel. You don't have to. If you want to catch up later on, because this will be on my channel for it might be on my channel for a good long time, to be fair, because it's been a very interesting one. So yes, and she has a good pug as well. Her pug is on every one of her photographs as well, pretty much.
Bestest friend,
bestest friend in the world, definitely. There was one here from Yeah, I was right. It was the Black Museum. So Lisa and Jan said it is the Black Museum that I was on about before, where
Oh,
Lindsay and Richard.
Richard.
Uh, Where's it gone? Where's it gone?
Grab a bit of water, 2 seconds.
I hope you've enjoyed this one tonight, folks. I probably won't be on for a great deal longer because of the broadcast time limit is for 2 hours. So we've probably got about 15 minutes left. But 2 hours is well long enough to be. Well, it's not long enough for Kev, that's for sure, because I could talk to this bloke all
I,
night.
I could do this until about 5 in the morning, but
Uh,
if it weren't
that's
for
not
work, that's
that's not good for me, mate. I've got to go to work. I've got to get up at
that's
5 o'clock in the
it.
morning.
That's me too.
We just continue all the way through and just leave our seats and go to work. Jesus Christ.
The joys, honestly. If I could do this for a job and a living, I definitely would.
Yeah, definitely, mate. Definitely. I can't find it, but it was basically Reach Beyond Paranormal, asking your thoughts on spirit boxes, talking
Mm.
about obviously equipment there before.
So, problem is, spirit boxes have a great deal of issues when it comes to things like audio pareidolia
Yeah,
and just overstimulation, just the blast of it.
yeah,
Um, But what I did find interesting when the Estes method became a thing, I did mass amounts of experiments with the Estes method.
yeah,
Came up with a much more controlled variant. Because people were going to do it.
yeah.
If they were going to do it, I'd rather that they were doing it in a controlled manner than they are. I sound like a parent whose kids are just having sex for the first time, but so I'd rather they did it where they were safe and they used condoms. But I'd rather you did the Estes method safely, because it's stimulus like crazy, and there are vulnerable individuals who can be affected by that.
Yeah,
But with the Estes method, only twice out of, and I mean hundreds, possibly thousands of times, only twice have I ever got these kind of straight up responses.
hmm.
But I can't be 100% sure that the person wasn't hearing what I was saying.
Yeah,
Um, but in regards to spirit box out loud in the air with a loudspeaker, forget it.
yeah,
It's just that's pointless. I think you can just pick up on anything
yeah.
and take whatever you want from it.
I just want to go on touching on because you touched about the SDS method there. Ryan from Full Dark Paranormal, and obviously his wife Amy was in the chat there before. From now of course called Amy and Ryan's Weird Adventures. So please go and check them out, folks, because they are fantastic, and I've met them in person as well. Wonderful, wonderful people. Um, um, I first got into the SDS method after watching them do this double SDS method. So there was Amy and Ryan, and they were out with another duo. Ryan might be able to tell us who they are. He might be able to tell us which video it is of theirs because I can't quite remember. It was one of the sanatoriums that actually they were in, I think, and they were facing back to back in these old armchairs, and the two girls were actually asking the questions. Respective partners were asking questions, and the stuff that were. I mean, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It gave me a right chill as well because obviously they got good headphones on, noise cancelling headphones,
Mm-hmm.
and the stuff. I mean, whether it was whether you believe in the SDS method or not, it was definitely good viewing. That's for sure.
Like I say, I've had those situations where people have been able to answer me with relatively
Yeah,
pretty accurate. So I'd say probably about 80%, which is quite high in this field.
yeah,
But it's the previous hundreds and hundreds where you've hardly got literally. Some people just say words that they think they hear. Some people, especially those along the lines of like trance mediums and things, just throw out. I barely keep up on the notepad as I'm going through. Um, but it is, if you do it right, you do it with the noise cancelling headphones. You test halfway through. You tell
yeah,
someone who's doing the Estes method. You turn around and go, right, that's it then. Go on, that's enough. If they take their headphones off, because they might instinctually do that because it is an uncomfortable situation as well.
yeah,
All right, it's over, good. Then they can hear you. Explain how you're going to like take them out of that situation. They're going to touch their left knee or whatever. You know, they always have a little jump. But
Yeah.
if you tell them what's going to happen,
Yeah.
try and look after the person who's going through it. And you can do the experiment as many times as you want. But
Yeah.
sometimes I have had nice hits, but nothing that would make me go fantastic, amazing.
Yeah. So that Estes method in question, Amy's popped up there and said that that was in the Indiana State Sanatorium. Our buddy Shane was there. I'd love to actually to go over to the States and just go and do a few things with Amy and Ryan. I know we have talked about it before as well, and I have been invited over, which is very kind of them. But maybe one day that will happen. Well, I really hope one day that will happen. That's for sure.
Yeah,
Another dream come true.
A proper adventure.
Yeah, definitely. I've got another one here from my good buddy Steve. If you could communicate with any famous spirit, who would it be?
Oh, that's a.
That's tough. That's tougher than all your sci-fi, all your science questions.
Well, you've got sort of multiple aspects. Like Harry Houdini would be, and Harry, like I say, Harry Price, but like Harry Houdini, I think would be exceptionally interesting.
Yeah.
And the way I'd look at it is if as someone who could maybe help me here communicate over there. You know, when they did the afterlife experiments, they were speaking to what's his bloody name? Not Tesla, the other one. The other guy who claimed to invent electricity. I can't remember. It's gone.
God, I don't know, to be fair.
But basically, the idea that he give them a blueprint for this idea that I would want to talk to someone who maybe had the mindset and the intelligence to work alongside me from the other side, as a way of bridging that gap.
Yeah.
And weirdly, and people are going to find this the strangest thing ever, is Hitler.
Yeah.
And I think that would be an interesting conversation to find out what goes on in the head of someone like that, to understand their motives and their from a psychological aspect, the same way people watch these kind of crime documentaries and things. I think it'd be so interesting to be able to talk one-on-one with someone that level of messed up.
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Go on, Mark. Who would you?
You know, I'm meant to be the interviewer. You don't sling that question my way, fella. Bat and ball there. Goodness me. I forgot what the bloody question was now.
So who would you communicate with in the afterlife?
Yes,
famous.
And who would it be? Famous spirit. I've said this before, actually, because somebody, John and Neil from Parallel Activities, asked me this the first time I ever went on their live stream years ago, and I did actually say Kurt Cobain. Fair enough. Might not be like an absolute, historical figure, so to speak. But yeah, definitely because I'd just like to know what happened to him in his last days, and did he actually pull that trigger?
And what sort of led up to it, and what was sort of going on in the background?
Yeah,
I think that's it. It's like finding little answers like that would just be amazing. And if I was a psychic medium with the ability to talk to ghosts on a daily basis, I do wonder why they don't have that information.
Yeah. And I'll drop this final one in from Elaine, and then we'll probably call it a night, to be honest, folks, because I've got about 9 minutes left before I have to end.
I'll have one question I'm going to ask you after that.
Okay, no worries. We'll answer this one, and let's have it. I took a random sample of 20 streamed investigations looking for specific phenomena and whether it was followed by the feeling of being watched. All had perceived temperature drops, but not one thermometer.
Yeah. So what we have to take into account is hyperarousal. So what our brains are doing to our bodies in that kind of flight, fight, freeze response that we get, whether we like it or not, in some of these locations. So you can perceive a massive temperature drop and your hairs will stand on end, which usually is ready to sweat to cool you down, and you don't sweat, everything, all of a sudden, you just feel this, way to describe it, perceived temperature drop. And there'll be nothing about you, whether you've got a flare cam on you or anything else, that temperature will actually change.
Yeah.
It is a purely psychological aspect that because your brain is pumping these hormones in to say you're about to come under attack, you're about to experience something that's dangerous or going to make you nervous. All of a sudden, you get that feeling of cold, which will then give you the feeling of, oh, something's just, sort of the shudder that can come with it as well. So you
Yeah.
still have that reaction. And that's why it's always a perceived temperature drop, and the thermometer just sits there
Yeah.
with absolutely no change at all.
Yeah.
Or it's suddenly gone cold, or something's just walked in front of me, or something cold. Like it is purely the aspects of your brain going, right, we're going to get ready for this scary thing that's coming. And our conscious brain is what slows that down and says, no, 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 it's fine. I've been to many places that are haunted, and so it happens.
Mm. I'm becoming a left.
Left-handed, and I
My
am
right
a.
brain thinker, and I'm a right brain. I got to help me open up the frequency.
So I assume you mean you're training yourself to be
Yeah.
left-handed,
Yeah.
even though you're right-handed. So it's interesting that you're actually finding some. I'm intrigued if you're actually finding any sort of different experiences or experiencing more,
Yeah.
because obviously people who are ambidextrous, I don't think there's any correlation between people who are ambidextrous and paranormal experiences.
Mm.
Just as a guess, not something I've actually looked into, but definitely something that I'm gonna try and keep an eye on, because it's not a question I've ever asked anyone. Is are you
Yeah.
left or right-handed? I know I'm left-handed. I know a lot of people who are left-handed, and there are those very creative similarities. But I also do know people who are right-handed that are also creative. So
Yeah. Well, let's have your question for me then, Kev, please.
right, so you started this. You had your speech at the beginning as well as to why we were having this discussion, and you've said, do ghosts really exist? And we've looked at it, and we've looked at different theories, whether it's scientific, whether it's spiritual. What do you think? You gonna go and drop your equipment for a few investigations and kind of pull
Yeah,
yourself back in?
I think I am. Um, I think I will. I need to actually go and. You're right, Kev. I think, and obviously Jem said that I need to be a bit selfish, kind of thing. It wouldn't be it's not a bad thing at all, really, to go and do that. Just have the time and the sometimes the money to go and do it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's definitely something I will definitely look into, because I think I need to actually, instead of actually just me physically making videos and making videos for YouTube, and that's probably what's actually dragging me down. Just the constant having to make these things to prove, or again, not prove that yet again I've not found anything.
Yeah.
So
And I think you risk burning out, and that's what I used to do a lot. I used to write like a whole blog post, and in that blog post had references and further reading, and it was exhausting. Now I make little snippet videos. As
yeah,
soon as I come back, I make little snippet videos giving the basics of information, and it takes the load off. And I
yeah,
accept my personal experiences now.
yeah,
I'm happy to drop my kit, and I think when you drop your kit, you there you go, says it all. Let's do
yeah,
Hill House, all experience, no filming.
yeah.
100% up for that,
I'll go there.
especially that
If
location.
I could afford it, I'd go there for a week.
Yeah,
Might be as fat as a house when you came out, like
that's it. I can say by the time you've finished
with
with
Duncan's
breakfast.
meals. Now, well, I tell you what, Kev, you tell people that are sort of 52 people watching. Can you tell people where they can find you? Because it's that is important.
So I am on social media more than anything now. I am currently working on a website, but that's going to require a whole lot more information and a lot more effort on my part.
Mm.
But if you TikTok is my main place, because I think it's the best format at the minute where we're getting the most negativity and misinformation. So I tend to find myself fighting the good fight where I can. But at the same time, I'm on Facebook under Kev Kerr Paranormal, and Instagram and TikTok and all of those kind of different things. So it's, what's the way to describe it? You'll find I'm very approachable. I can be very straight down the line,
Yeah.
and I try to make it all better. That's the only way I tried. I would love to try and make everyone a fantastic investigator, and as you've probably seen tonight, I've got quite a bit of experience and quite a bit of knowledge.
Yeah.
But if I don't know it, I tend to also know who does.
Yeah.
So if you want any advice or any help in the paranormal, just contact me. I've got no
Yeah.
issues of either pointing you in the right direction or sending you the information, even if it's things like journals you're looking for or references to certain documents that I've gained over the years, then I can send them forward to you as well. So yeah, no, thank you guys.
No, thanks very much indeed. Kev, stay there. I'll have a little quick chat with you after we're done.
Yeah, no
But
problem.
I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that's been here and stuck through it. Not that it's been a hard slog, of course, because I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys have as well. But yeah, really, really enjoyed this one, to be honest. I haven't known Kev for a very long time, but I've known of him, but I've never met him. And it's always been great to meet him. I've now met him quite a few times there now, and it's always great to hang out with him. So yeah, please, folks, go and check out his social media stuff, because it is fantastic loads of truthful and honest paranormal nuggets. It really is.
Thank you. I'll take that.
Nice one. Okay, folks, I'm going to close it now, and thanks very much indeed. Please make sure you like and subscribe to my channel as well if you like this kind of stuff. And I shall see you, folks, on the next one. Cheers.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys.